Okay, ladies and gents, boys and girls, happy Friday. TGIF, Friday, October the 14th, 2022. Appreciate you all tuning in. I see John, Chuck, John Edward, Daniel, Todd Smith, Noah Johns, Brendan, Gad, what's going on? Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord over the TDC Questions channel, the TDC Questions channel, to be sure that your questions are answered there. John, I am not asleep, my friend. I can guarantee you I am wide awake. Playing with some technical things behind the scenes, if you will. But we are here. Again, we're taking your questions, comments, calls as we go into the bye weekend. 843-790-3377. That's 843-790-3377. That is the number. You can call that number, text that number. Travi, Facebook should not be down. As far as I know, Facebook should not be down. This stream was scheduled to run live on Facebook. It looks like it is not running live on Facebook. I have no idea why it's not running live on Facebook. I have no clue. So, yeah, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why that is the case. But, yeah, it looks like we're not. And I don't know how. I guess I'll just go share the link to YouTube on Facebook. I don't know. My apologies, those who are tuned in right now that are normally on Facebook. I don't see it. I don't know what's going on. So anyways, this is probably what I need to do anyways, man, is make this a YouTube exclusive show. But we have a lot of Facebook folks that tune in from Facebook. So I'll probably just continue to keep that up because there's no reason not to. No, Travis, you're good. I've already looked at it. It's not up there. It's not up there. So I will post the link to Facebook. I have no idea what's going on. Either way, though, really excited to chat with you guys. Appreciate you all tuning in. Of course, as always, the Daily Crow is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Go down the Prize Picks app, go to prizepicks.com. When you do, use the promo code TSUS. You're going to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Guys, you can literally play anything and everything. Your prop plays from college sports, MLB, NHL, NBA, NFL, you name it, they've got it. And so many of our listeners and so many fans of the Spurs Up Show and the Daily Crow have made tons of money with our friends at Prize Picks. Again, go download the app or go to prizepicks.com. And when you do, use the promo code TSUS. You're going to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. Be sure to check them out and tell them that Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. Guys, again, really excited to chat. We've got my good friend Jake Crane coming on the show at 12:15, I believe. We're going to confirm with him. Also, my good friend that runs the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association softball game. He will come on about 1:15, just kind of give you guys some information about the game itself and what we're going to be doing tomorrow. You guys definitely come out. It's in Lancaster. How do you say it? By the way, how do you say it? Is it Lancaster or is it Lancaster? I think it's Lancaster, but I've heard both. Is it just a preference thing? Is it a local thing? Is it a South Carolina thing? How do you say this? Is it Lancaster or is it Lancaster? Because there's definitely two ways to say it. John, thanks for the clarification. John, I might be in your neck of the woods, by the way, tomorrow night, maybe even Sunday. I don't know. You know, it's pretty close to Charlotte. I was thinking about riding up there, my guy. I should have texted you, I guess, earlier in the week. But, yeah, I was thinking about riding up there. So, Stephen Borwell, what's up? What's up? Awesome. We got my guy Jake Crane, 12:15. He's scheduled to jump on, 12:15. Now, I don't know. Facebook, yeah, I don't know. Facebook's not down. I just don't think the stream went out to the Facebook channel today. So, it looks like a lot of our normal folks are just not tuned in for some reason. I don't know. And there's nothing I can do except restart the stream. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that. So I don't know if our Facebook folks, if they just are wondering like what the heck's going on. Is there no Daily Crow today? I don't know. Let's see. Anyways, no idea. You guys let everybody know. Let everybody know on the Facebook side of things that we're on YouTube. Travis Lee says it's Lancaster. So then do people, are people that are saying Lancaster, are they saying it wrong? Are they saying it wrong? Or is it just a preference thing? That might just be the whole topic of the show today. Anyways, guys, it is the bye weekend. No podcasts. I'm sure you saw this morning. No podcast, right? But we are talking college football. You know, we can talk. I posed the question this morning. What's your favorite bye week activity? Do you not watch football at all? Do you watch all the football? Do you hang with the family? See, this is a great weekend, right? We talked about like wedding weekend and weddings during football season. If you're gonna have one, this is the weekend to do so, right? For the Gamecock side of things, depending on what your team is, this is the weekend. But fellas, you and your girl, this is a great weekend to do the whole pumpkin patch thing, the apple orchard thing, the whatever thing she wants to do that you've been putting off because y'all been going to every single game or you've been glued to the TV every weekend watching South Carolina. This is your weekend. This is your weekend to do the thing, to do whatever that romantic thing is. Do it. Now's the time. You don't have an excuse, right? You don't have an excuse. So this is the weekend. My guy John Rice, he's going to see Post Malone. I think that's a great way to spend the bye weekend. Why not? Why not? I'd be going if the tickets weren't $7 zillion. I might be going in if I wasn't playing also in the softball game, which I'm very excited about. Excited to play in the softball game. Let's see. Jeff Gullich says he's heard both. Lancaster, Noah Johns. Thanks for the clarification, my guy. You know, that joke just never gets old, man. Never gets old. Travis says watch games without stress. Like I said, I think it's just a great weekend if you got the lady in your life. Or if you're the lady with your man. It's the weekend to just do these things, right? It's the weekend to do these things. Take advantage. Take advantage of the bye weekend. The only game that I'm really, I'll say this, the two games that I'm really excited for, glued to the TV for will be, or I won't say glued to the TV because I'll be on the field. But the two games I'm excited for really are Florida State, Clemson, and Tennessee, Alabama. I mean, those are the two highlight games. The rest of them, I know there's a lot of great matchups, but I don't really care about Big Ten football. Like, it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't move the needle for me necessarily. As someone, though, who's looking to one day, it actually doesn't matter. I was going to say, as someone who's looking to one day potentially, expand, talk more, a little bit more nationally, folks still don't care about the Big Ten all that much. I mean, it just doesn't move the needle. We all care about the SEC. That's what we're all focused in on a lot. But there are a lot of great games this weekend. A lot of great games. And I tell you, thank God for college football because the NFL's trash. I said it. The NFL, these Thursday night games, they are trash. And I haven't watched them, right? But I'm keeping up a little bit closer because I'm in a pick'em league or I'm picking all the games straight up. And am I salty because I had the Bears last night? Probably so, but God, these games suck. Would anybody disagree? I mean, you have the Broncos Colts that don't score a touchdown the entire game. And then last night is 12-7, I see, the final. It was 0-0 at half. How do you NFL people do it, man? How do you NFL people do it? I don't know. I hate this right now because we've got such a lighter crowd today because of the fact that we are not streaming live on Facebook. I hate that. I hate that. I really do. I hate that. I hate the fact. I don't know. I don't know why. I'm going to try to post the link again. I'm going to post the link again on Facebook for those. It's crazy to me that there would be folks that would not tune in to the Daily Crow just because it's on YouTube only. Like, there's a significant portion of folks that normally tune in that are not here, which is kind of weird. Kind of weird. Anyways, Travis Lee, can't believe Clemson game's only 3.5. Am I the only one who thinks Clemson wins by 17 or 21? John Edwards says NFL Thursday nights suck, but the overall it doesn't suck. I mean, I hear you, but those Thursday night games are trash. Those Thursday night games are trash. Big trash. Guys, we got Jake Crane coming up about 5 minutes or so. Jake Crane will come up. We'll talk a little ball. Of course, we'll talk about the game against Kentucky. Really exciting stuff. Stephanie Lee, what's going on? Also, the exciting thing again, man, I'll tell you this. Thank you all so much for the positive reception in regards to the Daily Crow via podcast form being on our Spurs Up Show podcast feed. That has been a great decision. Great decision in regards to numbers, in regards to feedback I'm getting from people. hey, if you guys are hearing the sound of my voice and you like it as well, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. It helps. It helps boost up the show. It helps boost up the podcast, the business, everything. You want to know how you can help the Spurs Up show, help the business? There's a very good way to do so, leaving us a 5-star review. Again, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Robbie Davis, by the way, has informed me he will not be calling in today. So who's going to pick up the slack? Who's going to be the caller in place of Robbie Davis? Who's going to be the caller in place of Robbie Davis? We shall see. We shall see. Let's see. Yeah. All right. We're going to go ahead and get him over the link. I'm really excited to hear because Jake obviously had the Gamecocks going. Jake had the Gamecocks going 5-7. And so, of course, we both had this one as a loss going into last weekend. So I'm excited to hear his thoughts, just what his takeaways were from that game. Very excited to hear. Very, very excited to hear. So. I don't think the show went out to Twitch either. I don't know. What's weird is like the chat box is up. Like for Facebook, it's up like it did distribute to Facebook, but it obviously didn't. I don't know. We'll worry about it later. All right. Like I said, guys, he joins us every single Friday. And for the first Friday in a couple Fridays, we got him via video. Jake Crane of Crane & Company on the line. Jake, what's going on, man? How are you? Good to see your face again.
Hey, Chris, what's up, man? Yeah, glad to be back on video and just got done recording the show earlier this morning. We got some extra content we're about to film in here, but a little bye week for South Carolina. You can just look around. It's, in coaching during the bye week, you typically don't do a lot on Saturday. You may come in Saturday night, but as a fan, the bye week, especially if it's going good or if you may have got back on track, it always comes in clutch.
Now, Jake, what I like about your show, man, you guys talk national. You talk a little bit of everything. And, of course, with it being Friday before the bye week, we've been kind of having some random conversation, the first 15 minutes or so. I'm not a big NFL guy. I mean, I don't dislike it, but, I stay pretty locked in with Carolina and the college game and all that good stuff. And I think you and I would both agree the college game is superior to the product the NFL provides.
For sure.
But, bro, why do these Thursday night games suck so bad? And they're on Amazon Prime. Like, I'm doing a pick'em league, right? So, I mean, I'm not watching the games, but I'm looking at the scores. And it's like last week, there isn't even a touchdown scored. Last night is 0-0 at half. What's wrong with the NFL, man? Or at least the Thursday night games. They're terrible.
Well, I think some of it is obviously kind of luck. You do the schedule before the season. You try and get as many big markets in the game. I mean, I felt bad for Kirk Herbstreit and them last night in the booth. I mean, it got to a point halfway through the second quarter because unfortunately I did have to watch it. They were just literally like, guys, I promise they're going to score a touchdown eventually on Thursday. Like, eventually we're going to get another touchdown. It just, to this point, Chris, I think Tom Brady said it best when they asked him the other day about looking around the NFL and kind of what are you seeing from you and your team? And he's like, there's just a lot of bad football right now. I mean, really, how many elite teams are in the NFL or how many good teams? And when you schedule Thursday night games, it's not like you can say, all right, guys, this week we're going to change it. We're going to put these two teams that are playing each other because they're good on Thursday night. Thursday obviously competes with Monday, but it's unfortunate for Amazon Prime. It's really nobody's fault other than the teams not being good. The teams and it's still early in the season. Obviously the matchups, there'll be some better ones down the road, but early you just kind of ran into a bad stretch of teams. I mean, the Broncos on offense, I mean, like I said, I think there's a better chance of Joe Biden getting out of a room full of mirrors than there is of the Broncos putting together 3 or 4 scoring drives. So last night, the Bears weren't able to punch it in from short. It shocked me they didn't attack the perimeter. The one time they ran a play to the perimeter outside of the run game and inside the 10-yard line, Justin Fields missed a wide open tight end. They had Kmet for a touchdown.
The college game, though, took center stage last night from me, at least. West Virginia, Baylor. That was a hell of a game. Did you watch that at all? Takeaways? I mean, again, I know we're talking Gamecocks here, but we all just love college football in general, man. That was a hell of a game. West Virginia finds a way to get the dub, and Baylor still winless in Morgantown.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I had the TV going, 2 laptops going. What shocked me about the Baylor game a little bit is Baylor last year in Oklahoma State, obviously their identity was being physical, being able to run the ball, play action. Blake Shapen going down in the third quarter hurt them a lot. But defensively, there's still a lot of questions. I mean, watching Baylor, and look, West Virginia's offensive line is not good. If you've watched West Virginia at all this year, they've been really, really bad up front. CJ Donaldson, their freshman running back, who didn't even play last night, who's their leading rusher, has looked pretty good. But the Mathis guy comes in and runs for a $163 on Dave Aranda and Baylor's defense. But it was big for Neil Brown. He needed that one. He's on the hot seat. If you look at the rest of West Virginia's schedule, it's not exactly a walk in the park either. So for Baylor, you got to come back. You get Kansas at home. You're probably still not going to have Jalen Daniels. But it's just, you see the ebbs and flows year to year. They were experienced and old and veteran on defense last year, lost a couple guys up front, and just losing that couple and replacing them is always tough.
Jake, let's talk South Carolina, Kentucky, because I see a lot of comments right now, the 5-7, 5-7, 5-7. And to be fair, I also picked Carolina to lose. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, my thing is this. You got to be realistic. It was a huge win for South Carolina. I loved what Beamer did after the game, throwing the shade back on Stoops for the sunglasses comment. I thought that was perfect. Shane Beamer. That was peak Shane Beamer. But look, Kentucky didn't have Will Levis. Let's be honest. It's a good win from South Carolina, but two things can be true at once. Not having your starting quarterback's a big deal, but especially when you're Kentucky and you don't have an explosive offense to begin with. Anybody, and I think all the South Carolina fans that know what they're looking at, would tell you Kentucky's not an explosive offense. What Kentucky tries to do is wait you out. And now they got Chris Rodriguez back. That was big for them. But they try and wait you out and let you make the mistake at the end. And the games they've lost, they've been the team making the mistake at the end. But last year with Wan'Dale Robinson, remember, we saw it. It was deep. He'd come up third and short. He was the fixer, could take the slant for a touchdown. They don't have this guy this year. But it was good to see it was good to see Spencer Rattler and those guys get a win, especially with the way it's been going. But I'll say, like I always say, and you look now at Texas A&M, that game looks a lot more winnable. Missouri, I think, is a little bit better than what people thought. I know that their record isn't great, but if you look at kind of Brady Cook and the way they're playing a lot better. You should have beat Auburn. It was the biggest joke I've ever seen that you didn't beat Auburn. But when it comes down to it, and you really look at it, how do you match up to the other teams? I think especially at home, South Carolina and A&M is basically even, and I may even give a little bit of an advantage to South Carolina. What you can't do is turn the ball over, and you can't let Haynes King run around and extend the play on the outside. And, John, nobody's saying Missouri is good. We're saying Missouri is better than what they are. Like, you need to calm down, bro. Listen, comprehend, use your ears. That's what separates us from the animals. That's why I don't have to dodge a cheetah going to work, because we got out of the food chain. So listen, my friend, it'll help you. And look both ways before you cross the street. But again, my biggest thing, Chris, is that South Carolina is still going to have to play very well to win these games. Yeah. You're not going to be able to play bad and win these games with the personnel that you have. So it was a good win for Beamer. I would caution South Carolina fans, because they are smart, to make sure you take it with a grain of salt. You can't get too high. You can't get too low.
That's the intriguing thing, Jake, or the interesting thing with not just South Carolina fans, but college fans, or just maybe just fans in general, is that, especially in SEC football, though, it's such a week-to-week game. The highs are so extremely high and the lows are so extremely
low. That's what
low.
makes it fun.
Right. There isn't a whole lot of staying in the middle, because, I mean, this time last week, I had people telling me, Chris, 4-8, 5-7's best case scenario for this team. And then South Carolina beats Kentucky, whether it be with Levis or not. You got people talking about this team could start 7-2. It's just like, it's wild how it's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster, but it's the SEC roller coaster. That's why we all love it. I thought, Jake, the tone for that game was really set after the first play. And I know it was 7-7 at half, and the game could have gone either way, but I don't know, man. I just felt like, Kentucky's been this team over the years, especially against the Gamecocks. It's been ground and pound, win at the point of attack, physicality. And that first play, I understand Levis didn't play, but the fact Kentucky felt the need to run some gimmicky finesse trick play, and it obviously got blown up, Gamecocks covered the fumble, it just told me Kentucky's just not confident it's going to win tonight. Like, they're not confident in doing what they've always done. And so I felt like from the jump, I was like, this is South Carolina's game to win.
Number one, Jeff, appreciate the love, man. Here's the way I look at it. When the quarterback's not playing, and nobody knew before anyone other than the Kentucky staff that Will Levis was for sure not playing. The minute you found that out, you know who the backup is. Why do you think they were trying to protect him so much in the games before this? So when you're a coach and you know, all right, we are going to have to find a way to manufacture points. We're probably not going to be able to turn around and just hand it off to Chris Rodriguez for 4 quarters and try and wait these guys out. And you never want to be in the position of just hoping somebody plays bad. Like, man, let's be super safe. Let's hope South Carolina comes in here and plays bad. That's what you want to affect the game. You don't want to have to rely on the other team to affect the game. But them running that trick play, the first play of the game. Number one, it's the worst time to run it. Okay, you want to know when the worst time to run a trick play is? When everybody, I remember being the DC and even being on all the staffs I was, the first play, you are telling your guys, watch for the trick play. Watch for the trick play because they always run it on the first play. You know when the best time to run the trick play is? On the second play. That would just send everybody, nobody expects a trick play on the second play. Why do you think screens work so good on first down? Because most times people think you're getting screens on what? 3rd and long, 2nd long, stuff like that. So I think Kentucky took a chance. It backfired. And the minute it backfired, they retreated back in the hole. Then they said, okay, all right, now we have to be super safe because we know that we can't do anything outside of the little bit we're asking this backup to do. So I think that's what they got caught in. Look, South Carolina had to make the plays. You had to get off the blocks on the offensive line. You had to be able to read through the guards. You got to read pullers. You got to play front side, backside at linebacker. You got to know who you have in the secondary and make plays on the ball. So you got to give South Carolina credit. But I do think that instant turnover that led to instant points in a game that there wasn't going to be a lot of points scored was huge and really changed the mindset from then on out.
You mentioned Spencer Rattler, Jake. Let's talk a little bit about the offense because, again, like you mentioned, great win. But critical minds can look at the ball game, understand what happened. And certainly I have not been, from the Gamecock side of things, the fun is in the winning, right? When it comes to sports and especially college football, and especially when you're a team like the Gamecocks, when you can't get nitpicky with winning. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like South Carolina's going to go 15-0. Like, Alabama can be picky with the way they win. I don't know that it's a wise thing for South Carolina to pick it apart. Just be happy you're 4-2 and won the ball game. But you look at that game, and critical minds can look at that and say there's still a lot left to be desired on the offensive side, right? Just 90 yards of offense in the first half. However, give credit where credit's due. That second half, Spencer Rattler goes 8 for 10. They have 3 70-plus yard scoring drives. You have like 260-something yards of offense, something like that. Just talk a little bit about what you saw from Spencer Rattler. I think that's still obviously the question mark with South Carolina is on a week-in, week-out basis, will they get enough out of the offense? But if nothing else, that second half was the best half of football, I would say, they've played at this point this season.
Yeah, that's where you're going to get the most confidence from. And it's always great when it comes in the second half for a couple of reasons. It means the guys got the message at halftime and you made the necessary adjustments at halftime. My biggest critique of Auburn and Brian Harston is they can't score more than a touchdown against teams that are Power 5 in the second half because they can't adjust. And if you don't know how to adjust, it's because you don't know what you're looking at. And that's the thing that worries you the most, or you're just nervous to do anything. I would say with Spencer, again, he really put it together in the second half. Obviously, confidence is huge for the quarterback. It's also another week where, or one of the first weeks where everybody's not trying to burn Marcus Satterfield's house down. So I'm sure the Satterfield family appreciates that. Another big thing when you're looking at Spencer is I think Spencer actually took what the defense was giving him in the second half. He didn't force a lot of balls. It didn't look like Spencer was out there trying to make it happen. He was letting it happen. He was taking the underneath. He was understanding the way the coverage was rolling. And Kentucky doesn't run a ton of different coverages, but when they did try to change, he was able to find ways to hurt them. There's a way to be aggressive without being stupid. One of my good friends is David Tollefson, who's the defensive end for the New York Giants that backed up Strahan and won 2 Super Bowls. And I would always ask him questions. And I was like, who are the 2 best quarterbacks you ever faced? And he told me one time, he's like, the 2 best I ever faced were Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And I'm like, well, duh. But he's like, it's not for the reason you think. Quarterbacks are the greediest people on the planet. The second greediest people on the planet are offensive coordinators. It's very hard for OCs and quarterbacks to go all the way down the field, throwing the check down, throwing the hitch, throwing the slant, throwing the swing, using modified runs when they're making you keep everything in front instead of saying, you know what, I've thrown 3 short passes. Damn it, we're going to throw it deep. I'm not throwing another short pass. They will nickel and dime you all the way down the field. They're patient and they don't get greedy. And if you're able to blend that with the ability to attack a defense when the defense gets greedy, that's how you start whipping people's ass on a consistent basis. And you saw a little bit of that with South Carolina. Now, can you take that? And you don't have the greatest personnel. It's always going to come down to personnel, which means your margin for error is what? Smaller. So can they take that second half, compartmentalize that, but also use that going forward? And a bye week, you're kind of pissed off it's the bye week a little bit because you showed that great second half. It's like the Braves. I didn't want the Braves to have 5 days off. I'm glad they weren't playing in the wild card, but you saw it. I mean, the first 5 innings, it looked like that Sandy Koufax had a baby with Randy Johnson up there. So it just at the end of the day, it's good news, and hopefully they can keep it going.
Let's talk a little bit, Jake, about Beamer ball. I don't know how much of a special teams guy you are, but the Gamecocks lead the country with 5 block punts, man. 5 block punts, and they blocked another one against Kentucky.
I was a special teams coordinator in Division I for 3 years, so I'm a big special teams guy. I used to tell people when I was coaching the special teams in the secondary, if something went wrong, it was probably my fault. Those are 2 positions that you can live by the sword, die by the sword, but it's huge. It's people don't. And fans, I get it. I understand it because there's not the volume of plays you get on offense and defense. Therefore, the biggest plays in the game are typically on offense or defense. But, Dan Reeves did a study, and I used to tell our guys this all the time, that if you block a punt, you win the game 88% of the time. That is a huge number because it's such a momentum-changing play. That's what it is. And if you're able to be a threat on special teams, which is great experience for young guys, especially the way that Shane's recruiting. I mean, you look, Julio Jones ran down on kickoff for Alabama for 3 years. You want to talk about how important it is? That's how important it is. So being able to scare guys, it messes with punters. Punters know how many blocks there are, but he's just taking a branch off old Frank's tree and bringing the special teams down to South Carolina. And that, once he has the personnel in there, and the rosters are more even, and you're in these tight games against teams that have been better than you, that could be the difference. That blocked punt, that blocked extra point. How many missed extra points have we seen come back to absolutely haunt people this year, Chris? We've seen it all over the league. Kick returns for touchdowns, being good in coverage, punt, kickoff. The little things add up to big things, and special teams will always be 33.3% of the game, Chris.
Indeed, and also the swinging gate 2-point conversions that we've seen so much. Tonka
Henry
had a field day with it. The old swinging gate, you love to see it. Sticking with the special teams thing, because like you said, Jake, it's not the sexiest thing to talk about. I make sure, though, over the summer when I do my preseason stuff, I make sure to preview the special teams unit because, like you mentioned, it's a third of the game. It's a major facet of the game. Is it more of an effort thing? Is it a scheme thing? Because everybody does special teams, but obviously not everybody does special teams the same way.
Chris, here's the thing. This is what I always, and you have to tell the young guys this right when you get them. Special teams is not a different sport. We are not doing anything different. For example, all kickoff return and kickoff is a run play with more distance in between you when the ball is kicked, snapped, or whatever. A kickoff return typically is nothing but a power play with a kick, a counter play with 2 guys going to kick. A lot of it is based off double teams, a zone play. It's a run play, so you have to therefore be able to fit the run. It's harder because it's from a lot further distance, and it looks funny, but it is a football play. I always used to tell them, I want you guys to think of this as a football play. Punt and punt return, it's the same thing. When you're holding up on punt return, you are basically a blocking wide receiver. That's what it is. So it's when you put it in those terms, it's amazing how the young guys' eyes would just kind of glow up and they'd be like, well, duh, that makes sense. Now I can understand it better. When I say that I'm running down as I kick my table, see, I'm getting excited about special teams, Chris. You did this. It's huge. So it's a football play that just looks a little bit different from the others. So it's just as important.
Now, Jake, obviously, notably, you had the Gamecocks 5-7 in the preseason. I had them 8-4, and I believe that, you know what, over the summer, you make your picks, you make your predictions. I certainly am not going to be someone that's going to ask you to change. I had somebody ask me in our Big Cock Club Discord earlier this morning, will Jake Crane apologize for his preseason prediction? I said no, and I wouldn't want him to because that's whack. I wouldn't apologize for my prediction, and then we make week-by-week predictions, picks, whatever. But the question I'll ask you is this, again, you had the Gamecocks going 5-7, which most importantly to me is South Carolina missing bowl eligibility. No matter how it happened, you beat Kentucky and you're 4-2, which was a game you didn't expect them to get. how much differently now does the outlook for South Carolina look for you as they go in the second half in regards to just simply reaching bowl eligibility? And you factor in, like you mentioned, and it seems like this happens every year, but a lot of these teams you once looked at on your schedule as daunting, you kind of look at as like, those are gettable now, right? A&M. What is Florida? I still don't know what Florida is, but Mizzou, Vandy, you've still got. All of a sudden, I would assume in your mind, 6 maybe looks a little bit more achievable. Just talk about in regards to as we go into the second half. Does your outlook for the Gamecocks in regards to getting to postseason play change a little bit?
Yeah, look, I think sometimes when we get to this point, like the answer's somewhere in the middle, right? Like I say, they're going 5-7, you're going 8-4. So answer's probably somewhere in the middle, probably somewhere between 6-6, 7-5 right now. When you look at how A&M's been playing, because again, teams change during the season. That's why preseason rankings they're fun. They're fun for us. They're fun for the fans. Get them, people get upset, people get excited, and then you see the actual teams, but you see the injuries, right? Yeah. Like Arkansas looks a lot different now than they did for the first couple of weeks. But now, I mean, I'm going to stick with. I think it's somewhere. It's probably going to end up being 6-6. To be honest with you, this A&M's game is huge. This is a swing game. Kentucky game was a swing game last week. Now this A&M game becomes the swing game because if you're able to beat A&M, I mean, you're pretty much looking at what should be 7 wins with Missouri and obviously Vanderbilt. If you lose to A&M, changes it up a little bit. But I will say, I think you've avoided the injury bug decently at South Carolina. I know there's been some linemen that have been out, but when you look at some of these other places that are losing quarterbacks, that are losing places or people in position of need all the time, I think South Carolina is relatively healthy. I would say right now, if I was going to make a prediction, not changing the one I did before, but after seeing it, because things change when you actually watch, I would say probably 6-6, 7-5 is what is looking most likely.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And I will say, to your point about, not to completely change the subject, but the preseason rankings and just the rankings in general, if you want to know how ridiculous the rankings are, just look at Florida. Unranked, beat Utah. They're like 12th or they're 15th. Yeah. Then they lose to Kentucky. Then they're unranked again. It's just like, it's so stupid.
Chris, that's why we don't on Crane and Company on our show, we don't put out our power rankings until after week 3. Yeah. We'll do, where we think people are going to finish in the preseason and things like that. But you really just don't know. I don't think we should have a preseason AP poll. I don't think we should have a preseason coaches poll. I think the poll should come out week 4. That's when the poll should come out because we have a much better sense then. You can have official rankings, I guess, if you want. But again, it's kind of pointless because they always change so much. And it could keep a team from being able to move up. Like, give you a great example, 2004 Auburn went undefeated in the SEC, won the SEC championship, wasn't able to play in the national championship game. Yes, it was only 2 teams, but because Oklahoma and USC just started out higher than them. And Oklahoma, literally a guy was walking around with a peg leg with Jason White at the end of the day. You ended up winning the Heisman. But Kaki Twan, Auburn is ass. I'll be the first person to tell you that. I'm literally the hardest person on Auburn. That doesn't hurt my feelings. You want to know why? Because it's hard to kill something that's already dead inside. All right, it's hard to kill something that's already dead inside, or to get them upset. Like the funny part is, when you've been in the business, it does desensitize you a little bit to that boyhood fandom. Chris, I think you can speak to this as well. You don't watch the games the way I don't watch Auburn like, oh, please, God, I'll do anything to get this 3rd and 6 anymore. Because I probably know what's going to happen because I know how bad their personnel is. So I just love when I come in here and we talk about Auburn like I really care. And to be honest with you, Auburn not being good and Auburn being good, both are equal for business. So if you want the absolute truth, there it is right there. But the Harry Potter reference, I'll give you one right now. The only way Auburn's going to beat Alabama is if they know Gandalf or Dumbledore. How about that?
I need to get a Gamecock tattoo, and underneath it just says, "You can't kill what's already dead inside."
You can't kill what's already dead. Good luck.
That's the best way to put it.
That's what I'm going to do right when I leave here. I'm going to go eat lunch. That's what I'm going to do. Can't kill what's already dead inside.
Oh, my God. I love it. Jake Crane of Crane & Company. Jake, before I get you out of here, man, the most ranked matchups in a college football weekend since 2017, I believe I read. And we've got some big ones, of course. The headliner, Alabama, Tennessee. I'm on the Volunteers plus 7.5. I don't know if they win, but I think it's a close game. I don't know, man. Vols plus 260 might be the play. Clemson, Florida State's another big one, obviously, for obvious reasons for our folks. Just talk about the SEC slate, the national slate. What do you like this weekend?
Yeah. Number one, Travis, Auburn was not on probation in 2004. I promise. They literally played Virginia Tech and won that game.
Frank Beamer's Virginia Tech. Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly. Oh, how about that? I honestly didn't even remember that.
Yeah.
Look,
yeah.
the Tennessee Bama game, I think Bryce is going to play. I don't think there's a way in which he doesn't play, but just because he plays doesn't mean he's going to be full effect Bryce. I mean, you know, right now, if you're Tennessee's defense, he's not running. All right, they're not going to run him. You know that if you show pressure, he's going to have to get rid of that ball quick. And if you know that, to me, I'd show pressure all night and never bring it because you want to know if you can get there before. Alabama's offensive line has good players, but they have struggled before. You go look at their record on the road, how tight these games are, including the one at Texas, because that atmosphere at Neyland's going to be as hostile as it's ever been. I mean, they smell blood. It's like, what do they say on Borat? It's like, you know, we go around Belo and we say, you never get this, you never get this. One day, Belo break cage and Belo get this. Like, I feel like this may be the weekend where Belo breaks the cage and gets this.
It's going down in Neyland. Your favorite plays, gambling plays? You got anything for the people? Is it that game or is there another game? Why? One that stands out to me, man, Clemson's only 3.5 against Florida State. Is that?
Yeah, I'm a little nervy on that one. I don't trust
Seems
Jordan.
kind of crazy.
Freak out at any more point in time and play really good. I love the under in the Iowa State-Texas game. One, because the team's playing that has the word Iowa in it. And they've really struggled offensively. I mean, Decker, their quarterback, I mean, the dude is basically just a noodle arm out there playing. Also, you know, that Kansas-Oklahoma game, I'm not touching that one, man, to be honest with you. There's a couple more. It's a weird weekend. Like, how do I not take Tennessee plus 7.5? How do I not do that? Like, how do I honestly look?
I think we all want to believe that's going to be a great game, too. We want to believe that's going to be a great game.
I don't see Tennessee getting blown out. I don't see it, which to me, if Bama wins by 2 touchdowns, that's a blowout with all the hype that's going up in this thing. So I like Tennessee plus 7.5. If Iowa's playing, whoever they're playing, take the under. I tell you what, I like Illinois at home plus 6.5 this week. I'm telling you what, Chase Brown, if you haven't seen that guy at running back and what Bielema is doing up there, it's a pretty good situation.
Auburn, Ole Miss. How much longer does Harsin have?
Man, can we just do this? Like, can we just fire this guy? Like, what's going on? Like,
I saw your rant after the LSU game. I think it was.
You know he's getting fired. Yeah. He knows he's getting fired. You got the bye week after Ole Miss. The problem is there's no AD right now. It's probably going to be the Hartwell guy from Utah State, and if that's the case, Auburn's going to hire Jeff Grimes. So go ahead and get ready for that. But I think they're going to get an AD in there before they make a ton of moves. But I would not be shocked if he got fired after this weekend. I mean, he's a dead man walking. You know what I'm saying? It's over now. It's over. It's just like they used to do with the old people in the villages back in the day. They just put him on a raft and push him down the river when they got so old. They're like, you're so old, like. You lived in like long enough and you're eating a lot of food or not eating a lot of food now. So we're just going to see what happens. We'll send you to Valhalla.
Jake, I just laugh because you remind me of South Carolina in the Muschamp era. So I've been exactly on the side you are, and it is a time for sure. But it sounds like all of Auburn Nation is kind of with you.
We won the Natty in 2010. Played for it in 2013, won the SEC, beat Bama. I've seen Auburn be good. Like it's at the end of the day, like I've had mine. I enjoy watching other people get theirs, even though it's Georgia last year. It was nice seeing them actually do something. So look, we got our rings. Like you want more, you obviously want more. But right now, when you're looking at Bama and Georgia, it's just like, damn, dog. Like you got to bring in a hero. We need a hero. That's what we need. Like, look, I'll do it. Price is right.
Jake said, "Feels good to be good. We got the rings," he says. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to get to 7 wins and maybe win another Mayo Bowl. Hey, we're getting there. We're getting there. Jake Crane of Crane & Company. Always a pleasure chatting with you, Jake. Thank you so much again. Y'all check out Jake's work and the show. Let people know again when it airs, where it airs, how they can tune in.
Yeah, man, we had a great week this week. Had Danny Cannell. We talked a bunch of college football. Tom Luganville. I mean, we talk everything NFL, Major League Baseball. I mean, the NHL starting, but forgive me if we just don't go all in on the NHL during the greatest sports time of year with the NFL, college football, Major League Baseball playoffs, Quidditch down to the semifinals. So it's just a great time of year. There's another Harry Potter reference for you. But no, yeah, you can check us out 7:30 to 9 Eastern every weekday morning. Saturday, we put out a Saturday special. On Sunday, you know, we do a recap that recaps college football and the NFL, previews the NFL. So come check us out.
Jake Crane at Crane and Company. Jake, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Always a pleasure.
See you guys.
Yeah, man. We'll talk soon. Jake Crane,
All right.
what a legend. What a legend that man is. How about it? How about it? Appreciate Jake taking the time. Great insight as always. And Jake's a lot like Steven Garcia, where he's just like the king of the one-liners, man. The king. He says things. I love the way Jake articulates things, and obviously he's going to say it like he means it and keep it real and keep it a buck, and that's why Jake and I get along so well. How about my guy Phil dropping in with the super chat? Phil, appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Carolina Rugby against Kentucky at 1 p.m. tomorrow at the old Proving Grounds, Bluff Road. Y'all go check them out if you're in Cola. Go check them out. Phil, thank you so much for the love, my friend. Appreciate you. Hope you've been well. My guy Phil is doing a fantastic job with Jack's Rangers, with the Ruck and Roosters show. Incredible stuff, man. Y'all go support Phil. Check him out. Daily Crower, Big Cock Club member, great Gamecock, and a great human being. Guys, hey, we're going to jump into a quick break, but on the other side, I want to hear from you. Let's take your questions, comments, calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls. 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. Again, want to say thank you to Jake Crane joining us as he does each and every single Friday. That was a blast. So we've had a couple of folks in the TDC Questions channel, the Big Cock Club Discord, ask us. Yes, Phil Harris is no longer in the Discord. Phil actually, I think he told me last night he uninstalled the Discord app. So nothing wrong, but Phil just not in the Discord anymore. So Phil, people are asking, my guy. People are asking about where you are. That's why I even asked you to begin with. Lexi Crawford, what's going on? I see you also in the Discord. You can't kill what's already dead inside. That's like the Gamecock theme right there. You think you can hurt me? Dude, we're Gamecock fans. You can't already kill what's dead inside. Let's see. Josh Williams, have not told you this yet, but Chris, your studio's looking fuego. Thank you, Josh. That means a lot. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sincerely, my friend. It's, you know, the beautiful thing about the studio, it's forever a work in progress, right? It's like it's never finished. Jeff Gullich is no disrespect to all the guests, but Jake is by far my favorite guest. Big shout out to you, Chris, for getting all the guests. Each one brings their own thing, and I enjoy them all. Jeff, I really do appreciate that. Yeah, it's you know, I always say the joy is in the journey, and certainly that includes the Daily Crow and the evolution and what this is and what it's, you know, what it's turned into, and as it continues to evolve. But the point we're at right now is so dope, man, because, you know, before, obviously, I mean, we could take it all the way back to the beginning of the Spurs Up show. I mean, if let me tell you this, if you remember the Daily Crow as just a Periscope stream when I was sitting, basically, it looked like I was sitting in the woods practically, and I was wearing a golf shirt, no hat a lot of the time, and doing like a 10-minute video. If you remember that version of the Daily Crow, or if you remember the version I was posting to YouTube, right? If you remember that version where I was like just sitting in a room with the flag behind me, like you're an OG day one fan, because that was back in like 2018, 2019. But to see the Daily Crow, yeah, 2018, John, a while ago, armchair days, back in the armchair days, or the very, 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 very early TSUS days. But then, you know, you had the Daily Crow as a scheduled thing Monday through Friday for an hour. Then it got bumped to 2 hours. And then now having guests on, you know, it's always been something that I dreamed of doing or thought would be really cool to be able to do, is have daily guests on. And because, you know, I always looked at guys like Paul Feinbaum, and I've always been someone, you know, I like radio. I used to like radio. I mean, I still do like it, but obviously I do my own thing now. I don't listen to it a lot, but I always liked radio and liked, you know, and liked guys, you know, getting guests in and having those cool, unique, engaging conversations. And I like hearing different points of view. And you know, I was going to say, man, like I really rock with Jake heavy. You know, I've had conversations with Jake off the record about business and life and content and football, of course. But, you know, I really respect people that Jake talks his talk, and he doesn't speak that way from a sense of ego. You know, I know more than you, I'm better than you, but he speaks from a sense of Jake's a guy who grinds his tail off, who studies it, who lives it, who breathes it, and he speaks his truth and he speaks his opinion. And he's willing to banter you on it. He's also willing to hear out your thoughts and your opinions and stuff like that. But he comes from a place of knowing he's put the grind in and the work in, and he's able to speak from a sense of that place and know there's power in his words. And he and I relate in that way. And that's one of the reasons I rock with Jake so heavy, man. So I want to say thank you to Jake Crane. Thank you to all of our guests that we have on a daily basis. I'm glad you guys find value in it, because that is the entire point. That is the entire point for sure. Guys, again, would love to hear from you all. 843-790-3377. On that note, let's see. Savell Newton tweeted, in the midst of the bye week, I'm going to make a bold prediction. It's all based on whether we start using true quick game, pop passes, quick three-step routes. If we do, we'll win 4-6. Sent some encouragement to Spencer Rattler today, and the response was enough for me to be optimistic. Okay. So Savell Newton. Josh Williams, what's your opinion on the biggest battle we need to win to beat the Aggies? I mean, I know it gets old, man, but Josh, we got to be able to hold our own line of scrimmage. I mean, you saw what happened when we were able to run the ball and stop the run. Good things happen. So I'd still say line of scrimmage is the area you got to win, right? I know it's a cliche and cliches get old, but you win that battle up front, you'll win the football game. So holding your own up front, being able to create holes and create space for Marshawn Lloyd, giving Spencer Rattler time and slowing down A-Chain or is it A-Chain or A-Chain? Either way, slowing down the Texas A&M running game. They're going to have probably QB3 in there, inexperienced. I know he's extremely talented, but they're going to be leaning on a guy sort of like Kentucky was doing. So I'd imagine A&M will probably lean a lot on the run game. And again, we'll talk more about the Aggies next week. But yeah, I would say up front at the line of scrimmage, no doubt. Phil, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Pretty good, my brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you asking, man. What's going on?
Just happy Friday to everybody out there. I wanted to call in. I saw that nobody else or heard that nobody else was calling in, so I wanted to jump in real quick and talk about Carolina rugby. Obviously, I mentioned earlier in the chat that Carolina is playing Kentucky at 1 p.m. Over there at the Bluff Road Field, the old proving grounds, diagonal from the stadium, across the street from the Bojangles, I think it is.
Yeah.
They're in Columbia. So hope everybody can come out if you're in the Columbia area. If you're missing football, obviously no game for the Gamecocks football team this weekend. So come on by, watch the rugby. Carolina's undefeated this year. Also, Kentucky's undefeated at this point. Carolina is ranked number 3 in the nation at this moment. And by the way, these two teams do not like each other. It's going to be an absolute grudge match. Obviously, the rivalry with Clemson is huge. For all sports, but they actually kind of get along with those guys off of the field. They respect them as people. This, not so much. Kentucky specifically is known for being a little bit thuggish on the rugby pitch and assholes off of it. So there will be blood this weekend at the old proving grounds for sure. For sure, it will be a hard-hitting game.
And everybody will rock sunglasses after the victory. Culture.
That's right. Hell yeah. I wanted to mention real quick that we did 2 interviews yesterday on the Gamecock Rugby YouTube channel with the Rucking Rooster Show. One with 3 freshmen that came from the same high school in Maryland. It was quietly, Carolina Rugby is setting up a pipeline from the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast to come to Carolina. 20 incoming freshmen this year, which is unprecedented. All of them with high school rugby experience. And the next one we had Grant Howard and Dan Golden, who are upperclassmen in the Carolina Rugby program. Really enjoyed speaking with both of those players. Just listening to their experiences, really awesome. So I hope everybody checks that out on Gamecock Rugby on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed and liking the videos. Appreciate it. That's all I got.
Phil, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to hear from you.
Go Cox.
Go Cox. Really, really good stuff from our guy, Phil Harris. Legend. Appreciate him. Again, 12:56 here on a Friday, guys. We got a GBO in the chat. Daniel Gregory. Y'all going to let that happen? Tennessee people coming in, infiltrating the chat. Bro, Carolina, Tennessee week is going to be lit. Because I know all those Tennessee guys, all my Vol buddies are going to be tuned in, talking shit. Y'all going to have to, it's going to be like the scene from what's that movie where he pulls the sword out and everybody's running. That's what it's going to feel like. Apparently, the line for Tennessee, Alabama up to a 9-point favorite against Tennessee. So the money's coming in on the Volunteers, on the Crimson Tide. And I have to imagine that's because I would bet you that word is leaking out that Bryce Young will indeed play. And so I bet a lot of people, I would assume at least, I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like to me, I don't know. Seems like to me that would be the case. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Ball on Twitter, by the way, because he made me laugh this morning because I put up the tweet, the bye week's upon us. What's your favorite bye week activity? He said 2 words, get high and drunk. I'm like, I respect the honesty. I respect the honesty, honestly. So, John says, Daniel, how many teeth they got? I love it. I love it. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I see some of you saying you guys remember the co-host days. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, and I know John's been around a while too. Phil's been around a while. John's been around a while. It's pretty crazy, man. I mean, I'm someone that, I stay on the go, 24/7, what have you. And, And, you're always thinking about the next piece of content, the next thing. And I mean, that's a beautiful thing, right? It's a beautiful journey. But if you really do take a moment, it's necessary, I think, in growth and evolution to take a moment to stop and reflect some and realize where you are in the present moment. It's really cool, man, when you think about it. I mentioned this a couple of days ago, but November the 11th, for those of you who don't understand why on our TSUS helmet, we have 18 on the back of the helmet, right? The reason I have the number 18, it's not for Steve Tannehill, believe it or not, although the helmet does look cool with the 18 on it, but it's because I got the LLC for the Spurs Up show November the 11th, 2018. So to think that about a month from now, it'll be 4 years since I got the LLC. And what's crazy about that, though, is like that feels like, man, that's been a long time, but it's really not. I mean, guys, we've all been in college, right? Ask a guy like Phil, ask a guy like John, ask a guy like any, a lot of y'all tuned in. 4 years ain't that long. 4 years flies by, right? 4 years flies by. So Austin's been around a while. Yeah, I'm just saying it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I mean, I've only been doing it full time for 3 years. It's not long. I mean, it is long, but it's not. You know what I mean? So, and one of those years was COVID. So you can hardly even count that year. So I don't know. It's just wild when you think back, man. You reflect on the journey, and it's really cool. Really, really cool. So, guys, we've entered into hour number 2 here on this Friday. Again, all my folks that are coming in on YouTube from Facebook, I do apologize for the show not being up on Facebook. I have no idea why the show did not. I don't know if it's a Facebook issue or because it looks like we're live everywhere else. In case you guys did not know, maybe you're tuning in on the Spurs Up Show podcast feed, which if you are, thank you so much. But the Daily Crow, if you did not know, airs noon to 2, Monday through Friday on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Now, sometimes we have Muschamp hackers that screw with that, but most days we're good. Obviously, no podcast, no TSUS podcast that dropped this morning, but of course, this will serve for many of you as the podcast today, and I appreciate y'all rolling with the punches and being cool and going into the bye week. Of course, I just felt like, hey, there's just nothing to talk about really outside of talking about other teams or things we're already going to talk about on the Daily Crow. There's nothing really that calls for a podcast to be recorded. However, big podcast on Monday because it'll officially be our mid-season report card, sort of a reflection on the first half, look ahead of the second half, but I'll grade everything from offense, defense, special teams, coaching, and give an overall grade as well. So it'll be a lot of fun. That'll be a fun podcast. And, of course, Wednesday we'll dive into our best bet gambling picks, Shane Beamer's Tuesday presser, and then Friday, of course, man, it'll be the day before the game, and we'll talk Texas A&M, and I'll lock in a prediction, and we'll roll into it, man. So going to be a lot of fun. I think this is a great time for us to reflect. Hey, what was the best moment of the first half? I feel like it's really easy. Shane Beamer throwing the glasses on. That's got to be the best moment. I mean, that has to be the best moment of the first half for Gamecocks football. If it's not that, I'd probably just say the first game, the tailgate. I'd just say that the tailgate going into Georgia State and the pregame festivities and the crowd, and can't wait to see the crowd again at Texas A&M, man. It's going to be an absolute madhouse, going to be sold out. I think what's so interesting, though, and I'm not trying to, I'm not going to lock in a prediction until a week from now, but you guys probably know as well as I do that, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not a long list, I feel like, of folks that notably give predictions for South Carolina games, right? Like what's interesting is like the Gamecock Central folks, they do give their predictions. They drop it every week, right? They give their predictions for South Carolina's games, but they drop it in an article where it's like, I'm sure those on those message boards see that, but it's not kind of out there in your face where it's like I'm dropping a graphic, you know what I mean? And like everybody's seeing it. Anyways, though, I just, the point I'm making is that you and I both know that everyone in Gamecock circles is going to pick the Gamecocks to win next weekend, right? And it's almost just because you just beat Kentucky. A&M's been vulnerable. night game at Willie B. You know what I mean? Like, there aren't going to be many a Gamecock fan that will be picking South Carolina to lose against Texas A&M. I go into that game not with 100% confidence as we sit here 8 days from kickoff. Like, I'm excited. I think it's a hell of an opportunity. There's a part of me that thinks, this is the year we're going to snap the streak. The other part of me is like, Texas A&M, for whatever reason, has your number. But then again, streaks are made to be broken. So I don't know. Again, we'll talk a lot more next week. We'll talk a lot more about it next week when we start really diving into matchups and what Texas A&M, the problems they present, if you will. But there's the notable folks that make predictions for Gamecocks football, I would say, or most are going to be picking South Carolina to win because South Carolina is going to be the sexy pick. They're going to be the sexy pick. John's got top 5 moments for the first half. Here we go. Number 5, throwback helmets and getting a W in the Hurricane game against SC State. Okay. Number 4, Marshawn Hurdle. That's a good one. Number 3, the fumble in the first play against Kentucky. Number 2, the Shane Beamer sunglasses. And number 1, the tailgate and pregame against Georgia State. Okay. That's a good top 5. That's a good top 5. I don't know that I'd have anything else really to add, honestly. I mean, I think maybe if you went to Fayetteville and you had a good time, you might throw that in your top 5 or something. But I think that's a pretty damn good top 5 list, to be honest with you. Yeah. I got no issues with it. Travis says, please don't have a letdown. Yeah, I mean, Travis, I would say we want to see consistency. I do. I think we want to see consistency. It's kind of like I said going into Kentucky, right, where you had 2 extra days to get ready. That there was no excuse for you to not play your best game to this point and come out, prepared and ready to go. I mean, even more so that point stands in this game against A&M, right? I mean, you're going to have a bye week. You've got extra time to get ready. There's no excuse not to play your best game. There's just no excuse, So I don't think we're going to come out flat or anything like that. I really don't. I mean, if A&M beats you, I don't think it'll be because you were flat. I think it'll be because they just beat you. I really do. I mean, again, it's one of those things where, like, you'd have to not have a pulse to not be fired up for that game next weekend. You really would. You really would. I mean, I'm already, though, again, 8 days from kickoff. I'm a bit conflicted in regards to my view on the game because there's a part of me, I kind of liked going into Kentucky, keeping expectations super conservative and then being pleasantly surprised. I'll be totally honest with you. I did. I liked that. I'd much rather that be the case than me get my expectations sky high, pick a big victory, and then you fall flat on your face. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather, and I know some of you say that's, I had a guy, I'll never forget this. I don't know why this stands out so much. I had a guy leave a review on iTunes one time. It's still there. It's still there. But this is when I was calling for Muschamp's job, and I think it's because of the nature of the comment. He said, he's a Gamecock man with no soul. He got no soul. And so, and that's what some people would say about that attitude. It's like, you're a Gamecock with no soul, man. Where's your soul at? Where's your spunk at? But again, I've told you guys, man, it's like as a third party that has no control over what happens on the field of play, I don't think it's a foolish move to keep expectations reasonable. Phil says, just thought of this because I've never been to a Carolina away game, amazingly enough. When's the last time Carolina played an Ivy League team in football, if ever? Would love to see them play a home and away at Harvard. Phil, do Ivy League teams play SEC teams? I mean, I can't recall the last time an Ivy League team played an SEC team. Lady Bree chimes in. How do you see us winning, or how do y'all see us winning against A&M? Not score, but how? I would say, Craig Godwin says, can we put our hands on A&M and move them to a different part of the earth? I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to have to win up front of the line of scrimmage. I do. But Lady Bree, I'll personally on my end have a much better answer for you next week when I actually start to dive into Texas A&M. I haven't at all. I mean, I just this is the bye week. This is kind of you take it. I mean, I don't want to sound like a coach, but you take it 1 week at a time. You know, let's be in the present moment, the bye week. But you know, I think you're going to have to win up front again. Run the ball, stop the run. I mean, I know it's again cliche, but it's the SEC. That's what you do. So the SEC is cliche to a degree. Spencer Rattler needs to play well. Keep your composure. Go execute and go win. So again, I'll have a much clearer answer for you, path to victory next week. But it's a winnable game, no doubt. It is a winnable game, no question. Absolutely no question. It's a great opportunity, and yeah, we'll see if they can take advantage. Guys, we're going to jump into a quick break. On the other side, though, we're talking South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association softball game that'll take place tomorrow at Doomsday Corner in Lancaster. Actually, before we jump to the break, here we go. Let's get him on. I Dig Music. What's up, man? How are you? Hello.
Hello.
Yo, what up?
Hey, I just wanted to call, and I don't think any fan has really called in and touched on this topic, but I just wanted to give a hand to Spencer Rattler. You know, with everything that's gone on this season, and you know, it hasn't always gone his way. He's really kept his composure for the most part, I feel like. And I can't say everybody would have thought that in the offseason, so halfway through the season, you know, I mean, everything hasn't gone his way, but you know, he's shown that he's a good teammate, and he's shown that he's willing to improve and you know, help us win games. So I just wanted to call and say that. I don't think he gets enough credit for that.
I think that is a very good point you make, and I'm glad you do. And, yeah, I mean, listen, he played well in the second half, man. He played well in the second half. So you hope that it's something he can build on, and it kind of springboards him in this football team. But, yeah, I mean, listen, give credit where credit's due. Tip your cap. He had a hell of a second half against Kentucky, no doubt.
Yeah, I just mean as a whole, just as like a team player, like not even just his performance in Kentucky, but just keeping his composure, just, you know, taking each week at a time and trying to get better. And you don't see him like pouting much or anything on the sideline. And he's just doing his job. He's just trying to get better. So that's all you could ask for. And that's just something that I'm glad to see at this point in the season. Just continuing to work and nobody blaming each other or anything like that. So you know, just positive vibes from him and some of the other guys. And you know, this season could have took a weird turn, you know, earlier on. And it did. They kind of just stayed the course, and I think they'll continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned, I think 2 weeks ago that, you know, Spencer Rattler's been a great teammate, and I Dig Music. I don't know if he lost service or just hung up, but yeah, I mean, listen, I think Spencer Rattler's been a great teammate, and you know, you haven't, you know, 5 touchdowns, 8 picks, but there's been no signs of, there's been no signs of Spencer Rattler in regards to, you know, hanging his head or getting frustrated or anything like that. So, you know, you do love to see that. And, you know, I feel confident in Rattler. He will have a big second half. I do. I feel confident in Rattler that he will have a big second half. All right. That being said, now let's go ahead and jump into our break. On the other side, Matt Scott, who is the man behind SCYDA in the softball game that yours truly will be playing in tomorrow. All of that and more on the other side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls as well. 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. Okay, I'm going to close up the phone lines because we're going to get my guy Matt Scott in here. Wanted to give him 5 or 10 minutes to promote tomorrow's softball game at Doomsday Corner in Lancaster, South Carolina. We will see. He hadn't read the message yet, so we'll see if he actually does jump on. We'll see if he jumps on. Either way, we'll see. I sent him the link. In the meantime, guys, how about Robbie Coltrane has passed away at age 72. R.I.P. Legend. If you don't know who Robbie Coltrane is, he is the actor that played Hagrid in Harry Potter. R.I.P. a legend. That's tough. That's really tough. Anyways, guys, let's see. Yeah, Robbie Coltrane. Hey, let's go Bravos indeed. Let's go Bravos. Yeah, I'm planning on stepping out today, watching some baseball. Obviously, it's fall for Greenville this weekend. The South Carolina State Fairs in Columbia. A lot of exciting stuff going on this weekend for sure. A lot of exciting stuff. So, how are you guys spending the bye weekend? Like I mentioned, this is the weekend, fellas, right? This is the weekend. If your girl's trying to do that thing, trying to go to the apple orchard or go to the pumpkin patch, bye weekend's the weekend to take advantage. It is. It's the weekend to do that, or go to the Post Malone concert, as my guy John and a lot of other folks are doing in Columbia as well. Or you could come out to Doomsday Corner for the softball game. It's going to be a good time. Going to be a really, really good time. Let's see. Lexi Crawford says, born and raised in Greenville, still in the area. Greenville is losing its charm and another tourist city. Well, Lexi, I just got here. I think downtown's incredible. I think it's a really good time. I've got no complaints with it. I mean, I it's one of those things. I'm sure if you've been here, if you've been in Greenville since the jump, yeah. I mean, I've heard it's changed a lot. See, I don't have any sort of like I don't have a vision in my mind of what Greenville was. I just know it as it is. You know what I mean? So, I just know it as it is. So it kind of reminds me of a Charlotte Jr. because I'm in an interesting place in my life. I really am. I really enjoy solitude and I enjoy peace. Right. Like, when I went to the mountains, obviously, like that was incredible. Just being up there in the mountains in nature by myself. Like I love the peace and solitude and being able to sit in the stillness, if you will. But I also still love the city. Like I love the vibe and the energy of the city. And, I lived in Charlotte for 4 years and loved that. So I like a mix of both. Greenville provides a pretty solid mix of that. So, all right, guys, like I said, we're going to go ahead and get him on. Tomorrow, I've let many of you know we will be playing in the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association softball game, and I'm very excited to get in the founder, the brains behind it all, Matthew Scott, joins the show. Matt, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, brother. How about you?
I am doing well. And I wanted to let you know this, by the way. So obviously you see the hat. We have the Big Cock Club, Discord, an exclusive community for fans of the Spurs Up Show. But I actually had somebody reach out to me and comment and say how excited they were that I was playing in the game and that we were, partnering up and supporting, because they actually have, as someone with type 1 diabetes, it hit home for them. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really, really cool. I think it's Matt Jones, I believe, in our Discord. Either way, though, yeah, it's Matt Jones. Either way, though, appreciate you taking the time, man. It's a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm excited for the game tomorrow, man. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm excited too. As I told you, as I'm in the middle of pretty much running the last few errands right now. We're all gearing up for tomorrow. I'm excited to have it back in my area of Lancaster County, especially at the Lancaster High School field, known as Doomsday Corner, for that one listener, I hope to see him out there tomorrow as well. We'll have a great time. $5 admission at the gate for anybody that wants to come out. I highly encourage it because we got some great auction items on tap, some other things that would be available for purchase, food trucks, you name it, we got it. We're going to have a fun time as we are having our second ever night game, because I remember talking on your show last year that we were going to do another one, and here we are.
I love that. Yeah, I'm excited to play in, and I appreciate the invitation. And yeah, all those that are tuned in, obviously, and we've been promoting on the airwaves this week for sure. You guys come on out. We were having a debate earlier. It's funny, Matt, whether it's Lancaster or Lancaster, but it's obviously Lancaster because I just heard you say it. So,
well, I was just on a show up in Greenville on this, as I told you earlier when we were texting before I got on air. This is my third interview of the day. And I was hearing that guy say Lancaster. I'm thinking, I know I'm Southern, but come on, bro.
I love it. Hey, give people just an idea. Obviously, this might be some people's first time hearing about the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association as a whole. Just kind of tell people it was established in 2014, but just give people an idea of what it is to a deeper extent, why it's so important, and your role that you play in it, obviously.
Yeah, this thing started back in 2014 as an effort for helping kids with type 1 diabetes. And, here in the South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia area, we're trying to give more of a wider options. There's not that many diabetic organizations here, state-wise at least, trying to give the support for these kids, just trying to, help those kids because, the Camp Sweet Escape, the money that this event raises money for was also started in, the first year was 2015 for the camp. But, those kids, we've had kids come, I've done, counselor stuff for them just to help out. Hearing kids with type 1 just tell you saying, I didn't realize that there were other diabetics, and, going into further detail, that's why, I do what I do, being diabetic for 17 years, trying to make an impact for those kids, trying to give them a better opportunity to go to this camp for a lower cost so they can learn how to take better care of their diabetes. Because sometimes, like me, for an example, and I got my dad here with me today. Me and him, he can probably say, especially, when we first found out the news, it was mind blowing because we didn't know what to expect. And, here we are 17 years later. Last year we raised over $10,000 to help the kids go to the camp. And right now, I'm just going to throw it out there. We're probably going to do that again come tomorrow, which I'm excited. The main thing, all I can say is I hope people make plans, come down to Lancaster, because I've been telling people, South Carolina football's off. The team upstate, they're on the road, but we'll cover the scores. We got your football scores. I promise we'll take care of you. And, all the proceeds from the admission to the vendors and even silent auction items, because, we got some silent auction items signed by Shane Beamer, Marcus Lattimore, Jadeveon Clowney, just to name a few. So it's going to be fun to see everybody come together for this cause.
Yeah, you mentioned some of those Gamecock names, man, and I mean, obviously, just the opportunity to support a great cause is enough to come out. But I mean, obviously, for any of those tuned in, obviously they're Gamecock fans. Seeing some former Gamecock athletes, an opportunity in the auctions to win some pretty cool merchandise or memorabilia, if you will. Just give people an idea of the former Gamecocks that are playing, and like you mentioned, if you want to, I don't know if you want to keep it a surprise or go into a little more detail of what the auction stuff is, because again, like I said, just coming out supporting a great cause is more than enough reason. But there's certainly some incentives for Gamecock fans specifically, I feel like, to come out to Lancaster tomorrow.
Yeah, because like I said, some of the names we got coming to play tomorrow, former softball players such as Madison Owens, Kayla Drodart, and Jordan Bizzell. I'm excited to have those girls back, and especially having Kayla and Madison come out for the first time too. We've had plenty of Gamecock athletes over the years. And then, like I said, the support from and Adam Westmore, as my dad's telling me, I keep forgetting about Westmore because I didn't get a chance to pick him at number one. I didn't get a chance to pick him this year. You're going to get to see Westmoreland again, I'm sure, tomorrow being on the same team. It's going to be I'm excited to have Adam back. He's always slugging it out. unfortunately, I'm going to have to pitch around them this year for my strategy to win. Yeah, but going into the auction night, like I said, the Clowney, Shane Beamer, Spencer Rattler, and before I forget, we also have Columbia's own, the Southern Savior, as he's known as, John Schuyler, who has wrestled in All Elite Wrestling, Impact Wrestling. He's done some stuff for the WWE. We're excited to have John come out too. He's a USC graduate, and we're going to have a good time.
Yeah. It's a star-studded lineup for sure, Matt. I mean, again, I appreciate you taking the time to promote, obviously, and hope to see everybody there. We've already mentioned Lancaster Doomsday Corner. Let everybody know kind of the itinerary for tomorrow, because I know there's a home run derby. There's the actual game itself. What can folks expect? What's the schedule for tomorrow's events?
Schedule, we will kick it off where we will have some kickball fun for the kids, and anybody that wants to come have fun with the kids, play a little bit of old-fashioned kickball game, have fun with that. That'll start at 1 o'clock. That'll go from about 1 o'clock to about 2:15. Then we kick into the men's home run derby, where you got guys like Adam Westmoreland, Brett Percival, and many other wonderful guys that are coming to slug for the men's home run derby belt, as it's always fun to look at and try to, I'm not going to say rig, but I wish I could, just so I can win it and just get my name stitched on it, because my granddad makes these belts every year for me, and I'm very appreciative for that. And then the women's derby, I've been telling people it's a very loaded group of girls this year. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a fresh group all around, from the guys and girls, whether it's returning names or new names. But the girls side of it, I'm really excited to watch this year, because you got names like Anna Kimbrell, who's returning again this year. She's a Team USA women's baseball gold medalist. Like I said, Madison, Kayla, Ainsley Gilstrap, who played softball at Clemson. She's now an assistant coach over at Winthrop. Having those well-known softball names, it's something I'm excited to see, because I always try to recruit the best talent, I feel like, and try to shake things up sometimes, because I feel like it gives something, or something for everybody to play for, especially with those belts.
Yeah, for sure. And then what time is first pitch for the actual game? Is it like 5?
5 o'clock. 5 o'clock.
Beautiful.
The lights will come on. We are going to have a good time. Come eat. We'll have the food on site. We'll have the auction stuff, other vendors. It's like best way I could put it. It's like Christmas morning for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm going into it, I can tell you, Matt, with no expectations tomorrow. In the field, I'm not worried about. Swinging a bat, though, yeah, I was a pitcher in college for a reason. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, being that utility guy, I always try to, as they say, send it.
Send it. And I mean, indeed, right? Swing hard in case you hit it. No, for sure. Matt, I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm looking forward to it. I'll be out there, obviously, for the entire day. And again, highly encourage all those tuned in. We're also dropping this show via the podcast as well. So anybody tuned to the podcast version, just everybody hearing the sound of our voices, come on out. Going to be a great time. Like you mentioned, $5 admission at Doomsday Corner. All proceeds go to the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association and to help those with type 1 diabetes. Matt, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Looking forward to it, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Sir. I appreciate you for having me back on, Chris. Let's have some fun tomorrow.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Great stuff from Matthew Scott. Yeah, guys, come on out. Going to be a good time. Yours truly will be out there. We'll be throwing the ball around, swinging the bat a little bit. Just going to be a fun day. Going to be a fun day. And like he mentioned, I've seen some of the stuff. Some really cool items for auction. I mean, again, you don't need more of a reason to come out than to support a great cause. But for the Gamecock side of things, guys, and hey, I'll even say this. If you come out, I'll have the Beamer Ball towels on me for sale. How about that? I'll have some towels on me. I'll have some koozies. If you guys want to purchase, whatever. I don't know. But again, some really cool items. You'll also get to see some former Gamecocks out there, former Gamecock softball players, former Gamecock baseball players, and then yours truly. We'll be out there having a good time. Guys, back into your questions, your comments, everything else. Would love to hear from you all. Would love to hear from you. Travis says, go Bravos. Chop on. Stephen Borwell Jr., Friends Wedding Saturday, and Universal All next week. Steven, you going to Halloween Horror Nights? Are you going to Halloween Horror Nights? Sounds like a good time. Let's get back into your questions. Chase in the Big Cock Club Discord on the TDC Question channel. He says, we beat Texas A&M if we play a complete game, and they've already mentally quit losing 3 games already. Yeah, I mean, very well said. Very simply put, but well said indeed. Stephen Morrill Jr., yeah, you're going to Halloween Horror Nights. I've never been. I went down there last year. I just didn't want to go alone. You know what? You can say whatever you want. I didn't want to go to Halloween Horror Nights alone. I just didn't. So, but I love solo vacays, man. I love solo trips. I love doing things solo, stepping out, just chilling, man. Just kind of doing your thing. I was actually thinking about Stephen Morrill Jr., believe it or not. I was actually thinking about, on that note, going back down to Universal, going back to Orlando in the month of November sometime. Because I've got a season pass that expires in April of next year, obviously. And I'm like, I want to use it, right? So we could go down to Orlando, work from down there for the week, and have us a good old time. Luke RJ. So I throw left-handed, bat and golf right-handed. Yeah. So I'm one of those weird people. But I'm a right-handed bat. So it'll be a good time, though, man. It'll be a really good time. It's crazy, man. I've had people ask me to play softball and even play men's adult league baseball for years, man. And I'm just someone, listen, I played in college, of course, at Newberry. And I mean, I really, really chased the dream. And I think that's one of the reasons why, I love business so much and I love doing TSUS so much, is because, the struggle for athletes, not to get too deep into it, but the struggle for a lot of athletes is once their sport ends, right, they're looking for that next thing. They're looking for that next grind, right? Because I was 5 days a week in the gym, 5 days a week at the field. When I wasn't playing or working out or whatever, I was watching the game, absorbing it, watching it as a student of the game, right? And so once that ends and you go into the next chapter of your life, once you go into that next chapter of your life, you're looking for that next thing, right? So, for me, that's why I love business so much. It's like I've found my calling. That's really what it is. That's when I say my grind, my calling. You find your calling, because you feel like when you're playing sports, that's your calling, right? But I've found my calling with my business and being an entrepreneur and creating content and making merchandise and injecting value in the universe via this channel and doing what I do. So, and I'm very blessed and fortunate to say that, man. I found my dharma, truly. And again, it's a blessing that I'm grateful for every single day. And I'm grateful for each and every single one of you that tunes in and shows love, because without you guys, this wouldn't be what it is and what it's becoming. And I say it all the time because it's true. But yeah, I was someone that when I hung up the cleats, man, I was happy to do so. I was tired of my arm hurting. I was tired of my legs hurting. I was tired of, it's one of those things where you just wake up and, one day it just clicks. I mean, that's really how it happened for me. It wasn't, I mean, the good news, I was able to walk away on my own terms. I woke up one day and was just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to pursue this anymore. And that there wasn't a void for me in regards to, like, I needed to fill that void with competition through softball or through baseball. I'm not knocking anybody that does it. I'm just saying, for me personally, there wasn't. That's why, like, when I go to the gym, I love going to the gym, but I don't need to sign up for CrossFit I don't have that void that I need filled with some competitive activity. You know what I mean? Like business and creating content. That's enough of that fulfills me truly. Right. But there's some people that like have that void and they need that some sort of competitive activity to fill that. And it's like when you play sports at a really high level, it's I don't lack that. I don't know. I'm just speaking for myself, obviously, but I'm excited, man. The softball game tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Doomsday Corner out in Lancaster. Everything will get going around 2:00 or so. So we're going to have us a good time. Going to have us a really, really good time. I didn't even know there were going to be food trucks. So there you go. Going to be a really good time. Yeah, looking forward to it. Anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. Great slate of college football tomorrow. As Matt let us know, by the way, they're going to have the games on, thank goodness, because there's going to be a lot of great football. A lot of great football. A lot of great football, for sure. Let's see. Just taking a look. Oh, it looks like Yankees are playing, and Mike Stanton just hit a bomb. 2-run bomb. Very excited to watch the Braves today. Bravos in the playoffs. So, looking forward to it. Guys, be sure if you're tuning to the podcast version or even on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave 5 stars, go leave us a review. It helps out the show more than you know. It does. Helps out the show more than you know, indeed. I tell you, our folks in the Big Cock Club Discord, there's just going to be some guys, Brendan and Dalton specifically, that if Tennessee does the unthinkable and beats Alabama, they're going to need some help for sure. Those guys are going to need some counseling, no doubt, because yeah, tough. You can tell, though, that folks in the bye week sort of step away from the social media, step away from the, step away from everything. Justin Martin says, "Hey, Chris, something wrong with the phones. Did I close up the phone lines, Justin? I may have done that. I did. Ha! I'm telling you guys to call in, and I closed up the phone lines. That's my bad. All right, phone lines are now open. Now you can call in. 843-790-3377. You guys are more than welcome to call in. My apologies. I had it on Do Not Disturb because we had Matt Scott on the line. So phone lines are now open. Y'all go ahead and give us a ring. I know Justin was trying to call in.
Call from
Justin.
Justin, what's up, man? How are you?
Chris, something's wrong with the phone.
Well, nah, I had it on Do Not Disturb, my guy, because when we have a guest on, obviously I don't want people calling in while the guest is talking. So that was my bad. We got it fixed now.
Oh,
Hey, I was going to ask you, by the way,
Chris.
do you have 2 Instagram accounts these days? You got 2 Instagrams.
Oh yeah, I do.
You got 2 Instagrams.
Yeah, I got 2 Instagram, Chris. I got one for my my business. My first one, then my second one is the mining thing.
Okay. All right. I was just curious.
Yep.
I see you on Instagram, my man.
Oh yeah, Chris. Yeah, it's trying to grow a business because I'm a businessman, you know.
You're a businessman indeed. I can relate. I got you.
Yep. Hey, Chris, you can find me on my second Instagram.
I got you. Yeah, I got you. I will. No doubt. I was curious because I had
Thanks,
seen
man.
that. I had seen that.
Oh yeah. Hey Chris, how you been doing, my friend?
I have been doing really well, Justin. Really, really well. Excited for the weekend. Obviously, it's the bye week, but excited for the weekend. And yeah, just doing great, man. Doing great. Everything's great on this end. How are you?
Very good. Hey Chris, we won't have no game this week, but we can make a pick, can we, Chris?
We can start. You can make whatever picks you want. Yeah. I mean, I gave my SEC gambling picks. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Chris. Okay. Hey Chris, we talked about Alabama Tennessee pick. We're not sure Alabama's gonna have Bryce Young and whatnot, but I hope to have Bryce Young. But I have to go with Alabama. Who you go with, Chris?
I have got Tennessee plus 7.5. Now, that doesn't mean I'm picking Tennessee to win the game, but I do have Tennessee plus 7.5. So, I think it'll be a good game. I really do. I would be pretty surprised if Tennessee gets blown out. I will. I think Tennessee's for real. I think Tennessee's for real. I think Tennessee's a good football team. I'm not saying they're going to go 11-1 or beat Georgia, but like they're a good football team. I think if you're denying that Tennessee is I'm not saying they're a great football team, but if you're denying Tennessee's a good football team, you're just kind of a hater. I mean, you're just a scorned Gamecock fan, really. I mean, I hate to tell you, and I hope I'm wrong and the Gamecocks whoop that ass, but like from what I've seen, Tennessee's a good football team. Sorry, Dalton and Brendan, but they are. They are.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. Hey, Chris, it's just your Tennessee trying to end the streak because they had not been Alabama since 2006. Boy, it's been a lot years ago, right, Chris?
Been a long time, my guys, since Tennessee beat Alabama. Been a long time.
Oh, yeah, I agree, Chris. I mean, think about this. Boy, Alabama has lost the SC regular season game a long time too, huh, Chris?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Yep. Hey, Chris, I think Stacey got a lot on the line here because hey, we don't SEC have beat Alabama yet, you know?
Yeah, no, there's a lot on the line in Knoxville for sure. So we'll see. I mean, that's obviously the game of the weekend. I think we're all hoping it's a great game because you'd hate to see the game of the weekend be a blowout. But yeah, like I said, man, I'm on Tennessee plus 7.5. I think they're for real.
Yeah, I agree too, Chris. And think about it, the Tennessee Alabama game has never been close for a long time, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Wait, Chris, fight. I got two more picks to go. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
We talked about Florida LSU. The Florida LSU game.
I got LSU winning straight up. I'm not a believer in Florida.
Yeah, I got LSU too, Chris. Yes, I know LSU got blocked by Tennessee, but here's the thing about I think LSU gonna be way, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to think of Florida. I'll be honest with you. I just don't know what to think of Florida.
Yeah, I don't know about Florida, dude, Chris. I'm not throwing Anthony Whiskey yet because I just not sold the guy. You know that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what, again, I don't think I'm going to know what to think about that game and the Gators specifically till we play them that week up.
Oh yeah, I agree, Chris. And I want LSU by state, you know, because that's a lot of state for LSU too, huh, Chris?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Yeah, the last one, what about Kentucky, Mississippi State?
I think Mississippi State's going to blast Kentucky. I've seen nothing from. I mean, listen, I'm not taking anything away from our win over Kentucky, but Kentucky, they are frauds, bro. I think State 6.5, hammer it. Hammer it. I don't know. And I don't know. I don't even know what the status of Will Levis is, but if he's not playing, if Will Levis isn't playing, they don't have a chance, I think. So.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. And think about Mississippi State. Look, that's a lot for them too, and Kentucky. You know that because I like my least too, Chris. Because I'm not sold Kentucky neither, Chris. Because if you don't have Will Levis, that's a bit trouble right there, right, Chris?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I think State takes us to Kentucky. So.
Yeah, because I think State will get that win in Leicester because they ain't won Leicester in a long time, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Wait, Chris, the last game, I'm not picking Georgia Vandy because I know Georgia beat Vandy. You know.
I actually think Vandy covers the spread.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's like 38.5. So I mean, I think Georgia will win. I don't think it'll be flashy. So Clark Lee to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe if they can get Georgia a good game, hey, at least we be competitive. We won't win again, but we're gonna be competitive, right, Chris?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all the SEC games, right, Chris?
That's all. Auburn Ole Miss is the other one.
I forgot that one
Auburn
too.
sucks, so I don't know if Ole Miss covers, but they definitely win.
Yeah. And Chris, it's been a long time since Ole Miss beat Auburn too, huh?
Yeah, it has been a while. Yes.
Yeah, I gotta go with Ole Miss because that's why I say a lot too for them too, huh, Chris?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, the gap is closing. You know that.
Yeah. No doubt. No, I think Brian
Yeah,
Harson's a dead man walking. Ole Miss will run away with it.
Yeah, I agree too, Chris. By Hosey, he didn't take that job, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's on his last leg, you know,
Yeah,
Chris.
he's about done. He's about done.
Yeah. Well, Chris, that's all the SC games, huh?
Yeah, that's it. Justin, I appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend watching them. I hope you hit all your picks.
Yeah, thanks, man. You too, my friend.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon. Take care. Great stuff from my guy, Justin. Always appreciate him calling in. Guys, we are going to jump into one final break. But on the other side, I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Final 7 minutes or so here on the Daily Crow, taking your questions, comments, calls. 790-3377. Very excited for a big-time weekend this weekend. No Gamecocks football, but a lot going on still. Guys, also, we sit less than 3 weeks away from tip-off, the start of Gamecocks basketball season. On that note, let's see, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, practically. Actually, let's see. What's the actual schedule? Garnet and Black Madness is scheduled for the 26th, I think. The season starts Wednesday, November the 2nd. Okay. So, and that's an exhibition against Mars Hill. But I think it might be that Wednesday. That might be when I drop our basketball season preview. I think that might be the day. So, because we're counting down to that day, because that's technically when the season does start. But it's crazy. You play Mars Hill in an exhibition November the 2nd. Then Tuesday, November the 8th, you've got South Carolina State. And then that Friday, you've got Clemson at the CLA. So things get real very, very quickly in the basketball season. Things get real very, very quickly indeed. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm excited for basketball season. I love all the sports. I love creating content around all the sports. And, yeah, I think it'll be a really cool thing. Really, really cool thing. So, going to be a lot of fun. Luke RJ, what is our over-under win total in basketball? I don't think they do that, Luke RJ, in basketball. They don't do like an over-under win total. We'll have, the media will make their picks for basketball in regards to finish, predicted order to finish and stuff like that. I would imagine that won't happen for 2 weeks or so. Probably in 2 weeks. That week is when it'll happen. But, I'm not expecting us to get picked to finish very high. I mean, just because you add G.G. Jackson, he's just one guy. How much benefit of the doubt are we going to get because he's on our roster? But, I think it's going to be an exciting year. I do. I think it's going to be an exciting year. I go into year one of Lamont Paris keeping expectations very, very realistic and keeping expectations very grounded, if you will. What's so interesting is that, I mean, you think about it, right? It's interesting that there are entities that literally they only cover football, right? They only cover football and recruiting. That's it. The football season and then recruiting. I always prided myself, and I still do. I pride myself on not being a one-trick pony. I don't just want to cover one sport, especially because I love baseball. I mean, I love the baseball side of things. But, because there's an audience that watches those sports, and you guys, I think, all watch all the sports. And so I just, I would never, I mean, I know it's kind of a no-duh thing, but I can't fathom, like, just not watching basketball, not watching baseball. I don't know. But there's some entities out there, that's all they do is football. That's it. And, I mean, granted, football moves the needle. I get it. Football moves the needle. I understand. But I enjoy, people ask me all the time, are you busier during football? Like, which season are you busiest during? Or are you, are you busiest this time and that time? It's kind of interesting, right? It's kind of an intriguing question because you're busy in different ways, right? Like I'm in football, we spend the entire week breaking down and previewing one game. Versus in basketball and baseball, right? Like the reason you stay so busy or there's so much content, I mean, it's actually really a beautiful thing. Like when baseball and basketball cross, it's a beautiful thing because there's so many games. I mean, you never run out of stuff to talk about. You never run out of content to produce because there's so many games and so many plays and so much to react to and talk about. And then, of course, you still got football going on and recruiting and spring ball and all that good stuff. So it's beautiful, man. I love what I do, and I love the fact that there's so many opportunities to create value and talk about the Gamecocks, really, truly, and talk about the SEC in general, man, and talk sports and just talk it as a whole and interact with you guys. And yeah, it's really cool. So It's really, really cool. I appreciate all the love. It's been yet another successful week. I'll say that. We what is life but a series of decisions on a day in, day out basis, and those micro decisions determine our macro existence, if you will. And it just feels good to know that you guys have my back, have you guys fully support TSUS, the Daily Crow, the merchandise, the Big Cock Club, all that good stuff. And to feel the love at every turn. I really do appreciate that. What we're doing here is really special. What we're doing here is really, really, really special. And I can say that with immense confidence. You know what I mean? And that's something that's not lost on me. And it's very special because of you all being a part of the journey and being a part of the grind and being a part of everything we're doing here and building. And, again, the beauty of it is I still feel like we're just getting started, man. I really do feel, I don't just say that, like I really do feel like we're 1% of the way. We're just scratching the surface. You know what I mean? We're just literally scratching the surface. And that is so exciting. That's so exhilarating. You know what I mean? That springs me up out of bed every morning and gets me fired up and gets me fired up to chat with you all. And, this energy is organic, man. And it comes from fueling my passions and dreams and desires and goals. And you guys, again, being there every step of the way and supporting just means the world, man. Means the world. So I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all enjoy y'all's bye week. Also, again, of course, the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association charity softball game out at Doomsday Corner in Lancaster. If you can, guys, would love to have you come on out to that. $5 admission, but all proceeds, of course, supporting SCYDA. There'll also be raffles. There'll be food trucks, former Gamecocks athletes. Yours truly going to be playing in the game. Runs all day. The actual game itself starts at 5 o'clock. And outside of that, guys, of course, look forward to the podcast on Monday that will drop, where I'll break down everything, my mid-season report card. Would love to, when we throw the question box on Instagram, would love to hear you guys' feedback, how you grade the first half of the season, what you're most looking forward to in the second half. Going to be a ton of fun. But again, guys, thank y'all so much for yet another successful week from the podcast, the Daily Crow, the merchandise, the Big Cock Club, everything we do, man. I truly do appreciate it. Social media means the absolute world. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope y'all have a fantastic rest of your Friday, a great weekend as well. And we will talk to you all on Monday.